Hey, good morning, guys. Got a question from one of the one of the regulars. Um, hey, man, what are your thoughts on working alone versus working with a team? Also, starting an office, brackets, hiring employees versus um, hiring VAs or independent contractors. Cool, cool. Um, yeah, so I do have firsthand experience in the first one, and um, don't have experience hiring employees, but do have experience contemplating in starting an office and stuff like that. So I think I can share some good shit. Let's start with the first one. What are your thoughts on working alone versus working with a team? So this is a good one. This is a good one, guys. Um, let's see where to begin. Okay, first of all, first things first. This kind of questions, when we're discussing about these kind of things, a lot of it's going to come down to your personal preference, the way, your style you work in, and the lifestyle you're going for. Okay, I want to make that very clear in the beginning, because for the longest time I was contemplating these things from the standpoint of finances, from a business perspective. Oh, if you hire, if you get an office, it's going to be this, it's going to be this, and if you do this, it's going to be less that. Though it, to a certain extent, that's true, the ultimate answer for these is going to come down to your personal preference and how you work well, and etc. Because if that is in line with the decision you take, that's going to flourish through to the scale where it's not going to matter, right? So I will come full circle in the end, um, to show you guys why I made that comment. But for now, let's get into the raw thoughts. Okay, working alone versus working with a team. So when I was when I started this, right, I just came from working in a team setting, selling life insurance, and it hit me quite hard to have to do some of the stuff that used to come a lot easier when I was selling life insurance. For example, cold calling, right? When you're in a team setting, it's just a lot easier. Like especially with these kind of things that are kind of hard, for the general public. Cold calling, sitting down, and you need possibly motivation from day to day. It's hard to do it by yourself when you're just in a room, right? When I was in the life insurance, we had what, like a row with like about 10 guys, and I think like one female, and then the manager would be at the front, motivating us. There's music, there's a whiteboard, there's tallies. We each have our own nicknames, and then each time you get an appointment, they would put out like a tally that you got it right. So there was that vibe. That environment makes a massive difference. It just does. That's a lot of times where I'm trying to shoot for that. From time to time, that idea I come up with, like, hey guys, we should, is there like a live chat thing we can do where we put each other on the side, and we have like 16 windows on the computer, and we put that on the side, and we just like call, or anybody who's making video audits, we just like put ourselves, like, it's like a virtual room. So anytime somebody gets some progress, somebody makes an appointment, somebody even gets a reply from a client, we make some noise, because I remember how it feels. I remember that it was to be pretty motivating to have that environment going on, right? So so yes, I would say hands down, for especially on the sales side, it's going to, more often than not for most people, it's going to help you, right? It's going to be more motivating because you're in a team setting. You're going to motivate each other, and yeah, so that's how that works. And but like, before I move on to the next point, guys, like I want to give this point actually a bit more thought, right? Because I feel like this could be a break it or make it for a lot of people, right? So let me put it even like this: like, cold calling is hard, right? I I am a little, I guess, how do you say, lucky, or my personality is, I survived a little bit because my personality, in reality, in deep down, my personality is a lone wolf, you could say, right? I don't know what the other thing is. You could say inverted or something like that. My whole life I thought I was extroverted because I was always outgoing, right? Like, My high school, middle school, everything was, it's like to the max outgoing. It's like there's no other time. Meaning like every summer I packed up and left, and my mom didn't know where I was. Like it was the max outgoing, right? And my whole life I thought I was extroverted until I came here and I became complete night and day opposite, where I barely talk to anybody, outside. I have a couple of friends that I keep in touch with. I mean, lately, to be honest, it's getting a little weird almost. Like I almost can't even speak to people who I don't feel like is going to, like a certain direction, like entrepreneurship wise. So I don't know, not like bashing on people who, just work 9 to 5s or anything like that, obviously. But I'm just saying like lately it's getting a bit to the point, it's a bit too much. Like you have to like ease down, because it's getting to the point where like if I don't see if I'm spending time with somebody who I don't feel like has like large goals or something like that, it's getting a little hard for me to relate. So anyways, that's a different thing. Not to sound like a douche, but maybe I'll make a video another day of how to relate to people who's not entrepreneurs. But anyways, okay, that's the main thing, right? Understand that it's difficult. Okay, like give yourself that leeway. Like guys, I haven't cold called for over a month now, right? And I'm looking at the phone, it's disconnected right there, right? And I'm gonna have to start soon. And guess what? I'm kind of dreading it. Part of me is like, okay, fuck, like to go back to cold calling, making the video audits and stuff like that. So this shit is hard. When I was in it, like a month or two ago, when I was in it, I was like, it's like the same thought. I was thinking like, damn, these guys, like, do you really think that you can do, you can get progress without putting in some work? Like, you guys are lazy. But now I'm thinking like, shit, this is like, that was difficult. The when you have the momentum, the way you feel when you have the momentum is drastic compared to way you feel when you don't have the momentum in sales. It's just the way it is. SEO is not like that. Other things are not like that. Sales is predominantly, it's a sales thing. It's just like that. No matter how much experience you have in sales, I think, in my opinion, if you give a big gap, like a month you didn't cold call and you weren't, in a routine for it, when you're going back to it, it's going to be extremely difficult. And I know this. So I already put it in my back of my mind that I'm going to ease into it. I'm not going to hold myself hard, May 1st, fucking wake up, make the calls by like 12, 1 o'clock, start making videos. I'm not going to make it hardcore like that, just let myself ease into it, start calling from, chilling on the bed. I have my cables extended, take some time off and, do it one by one, call like, a certain amount of people and stuff like that. Like, take it easy, right, in the beginning, because I know it's going to be some time before I get used to it again, right? So that's that, that's just the reality of it. Now, talking about practicality, when is it that you would be in a team setting, right? In SEO, in my understanding, the only time you can be in a team setting, like from where you're coming from, before you start your agency, is going to be working as a sales rep for another agency, right? So basically, and this would be this would be a good idea, to be honest, right? Like, if you're right now having trouble starting your agency, right, and you don't have a job, let's say, right, but you just want to start learning how to get clients fast, guess what? If you apply to a agency that sells digital marketing products, they're going to take you on. I mean, don't apply as an SEO, apply as like a guy who used to sell something else, because that's what sales companies look for, right? Apply as somebody who sold some shit else and doesn't know anything about SEO, and now you're just coming in. What you're going to get is exactly their sales process of how they tested and tried to sell SEO, to sell social media, to sell digital products to other people, other companies, and it's probably very well versed, right? It's one of my things that I actually wanted to find out sometimes, like how are these digital marketings doing the sales process? I'm sure I will learn a lot, because these are guys who are on commission or have large teams who have tested large numbers of how to get better, get clients fast. So that's a pretty good place to start. You learn that entire sales process and you get that mindset ingrained in you, right? Like, a lot of times I believe that the reason why I have I was able to make the calls I did, or I'm able to have that discipline, is because it comes directly from life insurance. Even though we're not selling SEO or anything, there was a numbers game that's set into me, right? When I started selling life insurance, it wasn't like that. I'll dial one, contemplate, look through the leads and stuff like that, chill, look around, all this stuff. And by second, third month, it was just like two phones. I mean, not all the time, but it was like you just go at it, right? That numbers thing, to get it ingrained in you, is a big asset that is overlooked, right? And if you have to buy that, upgrade permanently for yourself, go work for an agency, go join anything else, maybe even like, selling other stuff on the side. I don't know. But the point is, I know it was massively beneficial to me, right? Because I understood that from a visceral level, that this is a numbers thing and I just have to bang away to get there. So yeah, boom. That's my thoughts on working alone versus working with a team. Now let's move on, because it's almost like 10 minutes. Oh, it is 10 minutes. Fuck. All right. Thought I'm going to finish this video not too long. All right. Hiring employees versus hiring VAs. Okay, so let's see how I should put that. So this is where probably, first of all, it probably does well if I say it again. It's going to relate to personal preference, right? And I can give my business partner as a good reference point from here. So my business partner, he loves to work in an office setting. Like, his personality is an office, like he is a true salesman. Like, sometimes when I say, like, I'm not a real salesman, guys, like, to be fully honest, right? My skill level is not that high in sales. Like, my skill level is high in like the discipline, in the things like that. But in terms of like, combating rebuttals and stuff like that, I got good because of the sheer number I put in, sheer number of repetition I put in, right? I come across the same rebuttal for the 30th time, and then I'm like, shit, I should probably come up with something fucking slam dunk to combat this. And then I do. And then guess what? It becomes a permanent part of my thing I sell, and I get better like that, right? But it's like the growth is very slow. And anyways, stop bashing on myself. My business partner is actually like a true salesman. Like, I think he's, one of those guys who can sell anything. He just needs to understand the product for a briefing, like, fucking like a minute, 5 minutes, and then he could like start picking up the calls and pitching it and do a good, like, very fucking phenomenal job from the first call, right? Like that's the type of guy he is. Having that said, he's also the type of guy who loves office setting, right? That comes from, I don't know, maybe he used to work for in office settings. He has experience like that. A lot of his vision is to do it like a wolf pack mindset, right? Meaning that he's like the forefront, of his empire, and he has like sales reps behind him, and every day he's just like motivating them, and they're just making massive numbers, bringing in with a office setting, and shit's going crazy. It's chaos, but money's being made, and it's just a Wolf of Wall Street type mindset, right? He comes from that. So for him, it's to get an office, even if it's initially, it's like it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, meaning like, hey, we only have like 2 clients, should we get an office? Sooner or later, it could be in the scope, because that's in his vision, right? For me, on the other hand, for one, could kind of tap into that setting, right? I kind of like that as well, right? I grown to kind of think that kind of setting is cool as well. But on the other hand, it's much more pulling to me to be able to be location independent, right? Because we're selling something that's digital. We figured out a way to sell it being digital. It's almost like in my perspective, it's almost like I'm shooting myself in the foot if I build the empire in a direction that has to be location independent, right? It's, like, one of my goals is to be able to move to Thailand during the winters. One of my big goals is to be able to take my mom around wherever the fuck she wants in this planet, if pretty soon, right? It's one of my like most motivating things in the core. It comes from that, right? So for me, in my vision, the office is not that important, so I can easily tap into the other sides of it, which makes it go down, so I can have an easier time to not like, go into that route. Oh, it's a big overhead. Oh, it's, we have to go to it every day, all this stuff, right? And it's true. and then I can easily, that's basically the idea it comes into, right? Since it's not in my vision, the downfalls of having an office, applies to me more easily, right? I hate traffic. I hate traffic so much that I let go of my car. Traffic and parking. I let go of a car, and to the point where I actually kind of like lost a hobby that was there since I was pretty much as long as I can remember. Like since I was a small baby kid, I would play with cars. When I was a teenager, I would watch cars. I'd go through cars. I would look up to people who drive well and has fast cars. When I became a teenager, late teenagers, I had a car, and I was, thought of myself as somebody who's identified with the car and the way he drives. And when I came to college, the cars was a part of my whole identification the whole time until I came to New York, and the traffic and the parking killed it, right? Now when I think about cars, like my dream car that I'm gonna get, it's like a 50-50 thing. It's not fully just a passion thing. It's more like a trophy. Like, yes, I have gotten it. Like it's more like a milestone. Like, yes, I attained that, bitch. It's more like that, right? It's kind of sad because New York did that to me. Hopefully it comes back. Hopefully, sometime when let's say, maybe when I get this car and I'm thinking of, just doing I'm still gonna use like public transport, and I'm gonna use this car to do like late night runs at like 2-3 a.m. once a week or something like that, where I just go fucking, I don't know, maybe end up getting in trouble, whatever it is. But you get the point, right? Wait, where was going with this? Oh yeah, I hate traffic. So I fucking hate traffic so much, and I hate parking. I hate parking rules, and I hate traffic. So these kind of stuff is something you're gonna have to be in if you have an office, right? If you have an office every day, like guys, I hate to be able to do it even if I own it, right? So you can imagine how I think about it for people who have to go to. I feel sorry for people, who live in places like New York, who has to drive to work every single day. Like that's crazy to me. Like for me, I call it a bad day if I didn't meditate a good meditation in the morning, right? Like I'm so high maintenance with these things. Imagining every day in the morning to be stuck in traffic, and it's like a slap in the face every day in the morning, right? And be okay with that because hey, everybody else does it. So for me, it's not in the scope. You get it? So that's the main thing you really have to take away. I know I'm not it might not be sounding like I'm giving you solid things for going into hiring employees and stuff like that, but that's really what it comes down to, right? It's going to be personal preference and the way you work out, because eventually either way it's going to flourish because of your personal preference. Because if you like an office setting, even if you have to go down with that overhead, if do it properly, get a fucking room full of salesmen, that will fuck shit up to the max. That's probably the ultimate scale you can have, running a digital agency as if you were doing some kind of insurance sales, because you have a team of fucking hungry people on commission, calling all the time, getting these fucking business owners, and then you have some place to just outsource the work and just has to be decent level. You'll fuck shit up. It'll be over, right? So that's the another scenario. On the other hand, if I hate what I'm doing, if I'm driving to places and having then basically I just built a high paying job for me, right? So that's that. Now, hiring VAs. Damn, man, this video is getting way longer. I hope this is I hope this is at least entertaining. Okay, starting an office is hiring VAs. Guys, you know my experience with hiring VAs a bit. I guess I could make another video for it, but so far what I'm finding out with the hiring VAs thing is, I'm just learning to be a boss, you can say, right? I'm doing my best in terms of finding the ways, because there's not much out there about these things, right? I'm not going to read whole books and create a whole another thing about how to do the, motivate VAs when I have just one or two or something like that. But I'm just working in ways to make them more motivated, right? I'm setting in places, I don't want to pay them just like the average. So I set some things place and I showed them the timeline, hey, look, this is where we are. In about 3 months, if you learn how to do this properly, then we're going to go bump you up to around this much per month. And then if you can do this, and eventually, so they see a timeline of growth, right? Because I don't know why other places don't mention this, but I have a hard time believing that, that they're going to work well if they don't see themselves as a part where they can grow, right? At least. This is why companies do things the way they do. If you think about it, right? If you come from a 9 to 5, you realize that how much they pamper you. It's like they have like nuggets all the way through, so you can feel good throughout your day, throughout your week, and then throughout your month, right? This is how they do it. The same way we should be doing with our VAs, right? Um, I mean, I walk across, nowadays, and I look at like corporation. I'm like admiring them. I'm like, wow, like that's an efficient system. Like anything, McDonald's, whatever it is. I look at them like, fuck, this is like incredible how they have put this in place. Everybody, it's to the maximizing, trying to make them feel like they belong to something, so the productivity goes up, right? So you're gonna have to tap into those things when you're working with the VA, especially because you're not there, face to face with them. I always congratulate them whenever they do the same job, like, good in the beginning stage, especially. Like I was, always letting them know, like, hey, you did this, this was perfect, everything like that, and then like giving the criticisms later. Just being polite, man. I mean, like, just being like nice, right? So I mean, yeah, that's what it's really gonna come to hiring VAs. I mean, after that, it's gonna be management and shit, which is pain in the ass, obviously. And the hardest part with VAs is building the system. Like this was stupid how I did it, right? Like I just hired the VA and then I realized like, oh shit, I don't have any work to give them, and it worked out, right? I can say now it was really dreadful. It was very difficult, right? It was, like I said, it was one of the most difficult things, so I never want to go slow on that part. I would not do it like this if I had to, do it from the beginning. At least I would create the training first for them before I hire them. But it's motivating for you. If you're somebody who has trouble waking up, working and stuff like that, and you can get yourself to the point where you hire a couple of VAs and you have a couple of clients, the fulfillment side is going to become eventually a piece of cake. It's just going to be, even if you have bad systems. Why? Because a bad system is you have to tell them and manage them a lot, right? But even that is really easy compared to doing all the work, right? Like even that is like, for example, the VA is going to start working at 8 o'clock my time, right? The last couple of weeks, I had days when I'm just like not doing much. I'm not doing shit actually, right? And just built a couple of videos, talking to people, spending a lot of time on the phone, talking to here and there because I'm not selling, right? So things are just like out of scope. So, but before he wakes up, I'm like, oh shit, gotta get him work. It's nothing's more motivating to know that there's another hand out there progressing while you're literally sleeping, because he's in the other side of the world, right? Literally getting the client's works done while I'm sleeping. So me taking that 30 minutes to put that work out is motivating. Holy shit, okay. And then for all of a sudden I feel like, yeah, shit's moving forward, even though I'm not doing much, right? Unfortunately, eventually it catches up to you, the sentiment about it, and you start to, backlash yourself like, fuck, you're not giving it your all and all that stuff. But it's pretty nice. So that's the whole thing, with VAs and Office, when you're comparing it. Obviously, for most of us that are watching, going the VA route is probably more practical, right? Because the likelihood of you having all three of that skill sets is pretty uncommon, right? Like for example, our industry is common with SEOs. Like, these are, you guys are, it's flooded with people who are on behind the computer, tweaking stuff, getting stuff done, and either like testing things and seeing how they can rank stuff. And that's like common, and then we have a good amount of that who figure out to a certain amount, to a certain point that they can sell a good product. Okay, next level rare. People who are doing that, getting better in SEO, and they can sell. They can get on the phones, they can make video audits, whatever. They can get in front of people, they're not afraid to get face to face with business owners to sell something. That's already going into a place which is kind of rare. That's why, but those are the skill sets you need to be able to do this, skills agency. If you're talking about comparing between hiring VAs and, starting an office, if you're doing it yourself, you're talking about somebody who can not only be technical and good at that and constantly improving, right? So you have a systematic somewhat personality who likes kind of, whatever you want to call it that. I call it a gaming standard, right? Because I think being good at SEO is a lot about how you think about playing video games, right? Anyways, systematic, technical, and then you are outgoing. I'm not outgoing, but you're not afraid to be out there, and sales, and you're not afraid, you have the skill set of being a manager and a motivator to sales reps. That's fucking rare. Like, I do not have that at all whatsoever, right? Like, if I had to ever start an office, it would be with somebody else, probably my business partner, right? Because he has that. He's patient, he's very warming, and he will fucking motivate the shit out of you. Every time you meet him, you'll be more motivated, right? He has that. Me, on the other hand, is not like that, man. you guys watch me, you guys might think that, oh shit, like this guy must be more, it might be a lot more motivating face to face having somebody next to. Not a lot. A lot of times I'm pretty frustrated, and I show my frustration. Like I don't hide my frustration. If I'm frustrated about something, I'm frustrated. Like that's it. It's in my video intro, I'll end with this note. In my video intro, 4 things come up: king, magician, warrior, lover, right? That comes from, I believe, 4 principles of like of what a man has to go through, right? To ultimately be a true man, you could say, right? Magician is SEO. If you read the book, it's called King Magician, where you'll understand right away. Magician is SEO. It's the idea of technical capabilities and excelling in the world and providing you values in that sentiment, right? You're a magician. You create something and you learn something and you scale or whatever you call it. Technical is a magician. Anything that's tweaking, engineering, something like that is a magician. Okay. King is the virtues of being a leader, somebody who's standing in front of your team, motivating them, who takes the sacrifice. Some shit goes down, you just realize that the government is fucking you over. You take that sentiment, you don't let your team feel that pain, and you go through it yourself, but you show them the power still through it all because you want to be there for your team. That kind of stuff is king. I am in that sense, my kingsmanship as a person is not developed yet, right? I believe it's going to come in when I'm past like 35, at least like past 32, because as of now, I'm still a person who gets very frustrated with things like that, right? When it doesn't go my way, I just fucking like a lot of times I still flip the table type shit, right? No matter how much I'm meditating and stuff, it's just being honest here, guys. So, I mean, read this book, right? I think this kind of stuff is going to help answer these kind of things. It's so crazy, right? But it is that, because those kind of stuff is very philosophical, but it's in line with your core, and this stuff is a manifestation of what your core way of is, right? No, business is here. This is just like a representation of the way you work, like especially when you're talking about these things. So guys, this video feels like I'm talking to myself. But anyways, hope this helped, guys. Overall, guys, try to have the intuition to feel how you feel, to be able to truly ask yourself, how do I feel day to day the way I'm working? This thing, that's idea that is brought up, this proposal that's been proposed by a partner about, starting this or going this direction. How do I truly feel? If I vision myself having that scenario, having a room full of people, or vision myself being able to have location independence, how do I feel from that, right? And the gut feeling you get from that is pretty much the answer, right? You can come up with lots kind of other like calculations and stuff like that. And that you would finally come down to that answer, or you could just test it in that way. And if you're able to feel that like that, that is usually just the answer itself. All right? Peace.